Mr. Speaker, in fact, I was actually going to end. Now they are annoying me, so I will not sit down. I will filibuster and keep on filibustering. I will talk to tomorrow.
The American, as somebody as you go campa, you say you go abroad. You can say you go home, Mono, Mugua, Muti, I is a Gubeda Muguano. Yamoni, as you go home, as you go home abroad. Only yet number one, one just yet. What you take about the money and programs any other.
21 of the recoveries were discovered under our period, and I'm very proud of it. And as a result, we've been able to
a minister, not just a minister.
Our cabinet minister, for Christ's sake, does he know this? I'm internal politics out. What the minister did, the Agrabo, who near the Afwas, into cabinet. But that's why you're all here. And you see what the uniform is rank. Okay, my idea. Oh, yeah, we are Bob no longer coming as I'm
a ranking member, so I'm entitled. Forgive me, ranking member. In that case, you do 10 minutes, isn't it? 15 minutes. No, man, that's true. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And Chairman, on hardship, I'm sure you yourself, you pay for fuel, you buy fish.
I don't buy fuel, so don't talk about me. I don't buy fuel. I don't have a car, I don't buy fuel.
When we allege here that there's excruciating hardships and people's real income have...
Mr. Speaker, but I'm happy today, Mr. Speaker, you make the point. Monkeys play by sizes, and so people should learn to play their role. He's laughing. He knows his role. And now, Mr. Speaker, I have invited to almost 2 weeks. I'm sitting here. They say they wouldn't approve me, so I'm sitting here. Look at all of this. Can you imagine? Mr. Speaker, is that it is the highest court of the land. Mr. Speaker, in fact, I was actually going to end. Now they are annoying me, so I will not sit down. I will filibuster and keep on filibustering. I will talk to tomorrow.
The American, as somebody as you go campa, you say you go abroad. You can say you go home, Mono, Mugua, Muti, I is a Gubeda Muguano. Yamoni, as you go home, as you go home abroad. Only yet number one just yet. What you take about the money and programs any other.
21 of the recoveries were discovered under our period, and I'm very proud of it. And as a result, we've been able
to a minister, not just a minister.
Our cabinet minister, for Christ's sake, does he know this? I'm internal politics out. What the minister did, the Agrabo, who near the Afwas, into cabinet. But that's why you're all here. And you see what the uniform is rank. Okay, my idea. Oh, yeah, we are Bob no longer coming as I'm
a ranking member, so I'm entitled. Forgive me, ranking member. In that case, you do 10 minutes, isn't it? 15 minutes. No, man, that's true. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And Chairman, on hardship, I'm sure you yourself, you pay for fuel, you buy fish.
I don't buy fuel, so don't talk about me. I don't buy fuel. I don't have a car, I don't buy fuel.
When we allege here that there's excruciating hardships and people's real income have...
Mr. Speaker, but I'm happy today, Mr. Speaker, you make the point. Monkeys play by sizes, and so people should learn to play their role. He's laughing. He knows his role. And now, Mr. Speaker, I have invited to almost 2 weeks. I'm sitting here. They say they wouldn't approve me, so I'm sitting here. Look at all of this. Can you imagine? Mr. Speaker, is that it is the highest court of the land. Mr. Speaker, in fact, I was actually going to end. Now they are annoying me, so I will not sit down. I will filibuster and keep on filibustering. I will talk to tomorrow.
Asamba ne yesi ye kwakapa ye ya yesi ye kwakoku abrewa yanka se ye gohu mono no amuguo na muti aye yesi gube na amuguo no nyamo ne yesi ye gohu mu yesi ye kwakoku abrewa hunu ye na mawa mon tiase mo ya mo jije jama abadwe na mo ne na mpro mu ase ni ade bi bia ne mutiri.
You are not supposed to do this. Why are you supposed to give money to your gurus to come and share it on the election grounds? It's not accepted. They should move this here. They share 200 cities and 100 cities. 200 cities and 100 cities to the people come and vote. How were you able to ascertain that it's right now, you are still transferring it from their phones to them. How were you able to ascertain that it's coming from Constituency? When they are MPP people, I'm an NDC person and I know myself. They are MPP people and they know themselves. So if automatically when I see someone from the MPP giving money out to his people or the neutral people, I have to complain about it. I know my people, when you give them money, they will vote. Even some of them, they told me that you give them money and they refuse to vote for you. You understand? I know my people. And my people know me.
Inshallah.
Kevin.
Oui. Can you come president? Oui.
One cup, much more. Yes, sir. No. The president of
A lot is happening, isn't it? Hello, good evening. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for your time. It's another edition of Good Evening Ghana. And tonight, the Electoral Commission has been publishing on the 9 constituencies. We're going to get into that matter in very great detail. And we have the latest intel, as they say it, from the office of the president-elect. We now know who and whom are fighting for the position of the Minister of Defense. We know that there's a front runner in the position for Minister for Defense, and we'll be talking about it. We know who is looking for national security. We'll be sharing with you. We'll tell you why one person is the front runner for the position of the National Security Coordinator. You know, the President Mahama's administration may decide that they don't want a national security minister. That role, National Security Ministry, was a creation of the Akufo-Addo administration, created for Albert Kandapa. But it was created also based on a policy document where experts have sat in the room and put together a document about the reforming the national security architecture. And that is what advised. It was that document, that process that advised on the position of a national security minister. The administration of John Dramani Mahama may decide that they don't want the position of national security minister. So the most important position that is coveted in the security architecture is the national security coordinator. Who is going to get it? Who is not going to get it? We're going to tell you about that tonight. And then also, so we do the Madam Jean Mensah. And then my famous conversation with the Archbishop. It is about transitions, and it's about Ghana's government. It's about how we change from one president to the other and what we do with it. Archbishop did a big prophecy with me sometime in 2018. And I'll be sharing it with you. And that's why you saw the Archbishop's photograph on the flyer earlier today. I'm going to show you a video encounter I had with him. Also, this is the season from next January. We'll be doing a lot of that in promoting our book. We will be bringing into the studio some of our people who are great followers. Cameramen, get ready and show Master Planner Jr. from Kintampo, whom you have seen in the studio often. Whom you have heard. They have been reading his text messages. So you need to give him a close-up, please. Yes, that's Master Planner Jr. from Kintampo. Master Planner, Dr. Baumia was heavily defeated.
Yes, that's true.
In spite of all your text messages.
Yes, but we surely bounce back.
We'll bounce back?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Oh, very, very
Is it still possible?
Still possible. That, I think going to 2028 election, that should be our slogan.
It is possible.
It is still possible.
It is still possible.
Yes.
We are already beginning to pick the slogans.
Yes.
Well, it depends on how the government performs. Berkisu, good evening, and good evening to you all the way from Techiman. Berkisu, another lady we hosted here who campaigned for the MPP and is terribly disappointed at the outcome. Tonight is Master Planner Jr. Let me get on the touch screen and start the analysis for today. So much coming up. The Christmas seems to have started already. Because driving around town where our office is here in Region Accra, I always get very excited when I see the book on the studio because we used to put other people's books here. We are very gratified that we can put a book that is our own work. We are happy about that. Okay. Thank you, cameraman. Thank you, cameraman. The books are available at Metro TV and Vidya Bookshop everywhere. You can get it in bookstore as well. And I think it should by now be at Kingdom. But in January, we'll do a big book tour around the country. So that's coming. Anyway. What is the Inspector General of Police doing on my screen? Dr. Ekufu Dampare has come up for criticism about the onslaughts going on, crowds disturbing. Yesterday they were at the airport led by Yamin. They said they are coming to seize bullion van. The other day they were somewhere. Also tonight we'll be talking about, I remember when Dampare is here, we're talking about President John Dramani Mahama's new first committee to be inaugurated is the Committee on Corruption. The oral committee led by guess who? Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. A lot has been said about that committee. Just as press time today, somebody sent me a news item where President Mahama is saying that the purpose of the committee is to gather information and they are supposed to hand that information over to state institutions for further investigations. Now, that was said by President Mahama and it sort of answered the questions about how people were attacking the committee for its legitimacy. It said that the committee is bereft of fundamental legal political legitimacy. The committee definitely has popular legitimacy, and those of you who know the concept of legitimacy, you know what I'm talking about. The committee has popular legitimacy, but it was thought that they were lacking political and legal legitimacy. I'll come to that story tonight as well. Dr. Kufu Dampare is here. Kufu Dampare has received some praise in some quarters, criticism in other quarters relating to what has happened. It looks like it's a lawless state. The police are not in charge. They cannot do it. Everybody is talking about different things. We know that there are two important police administrative heads who were not in town for the election. The head of operations, the director of police operations, the COP in charge of police operations was on leave. And I think it was thought to be a compassionate leave. He was on leave at the time of the election, the COP in charge of operations. And then the COP in charge of administration was also not in town. Just before the elections, one police officer called me and said, look, there's going to be a problem in Ghana. I said, why? This was on the 4th of December. He said, how many days to election? I said, but officer, you should know it's 3 days to the election. He said, ask yourself, where is the director of operations? I said, who is the director of operations? He mentioned his name. He said, he's not in town. He's taking a leave. And I got a bit confused. I said, okay, I'll check. Then he said, the director of administration too is not there. I said, I don't understand. He said, well, that's what I'm telling you. Then I called other police officers I know, and they all said that, yes, the police top hierarchy had expressed disquiet about this absence of these two important people. But anyway, too close to election. No, everybody was busy. You can't get anyone. And then we went into the election. After that, the violence is occurring, and people are saying that because the COP in charge of operations was not at post, and the police service probably did not announce a proper replacement for him so that the control and command at the operations area is settled. Apparently, that has had a problem with it. But Kufu Dampare is here for another reason. There's been, where's the document? Yeah, it's here now. Okay. So this is something that we picked up on social media. It says, Mr. Outgoing Police Officer, the last Sunday, you gave money to a popular prophet in Dome to secure his 31st December Omofia prophecy so that the incoming president will retain you in your current position. The money you gave in dollars and pounds was stolen by the church boys. The prophet reported the theft to you, and you sent policemen to arrest all the church staff. Papa Odifo, if you knew what was coming, you wouldn't want to make the case worse. Times are happening. Times are happening. We don't know whether it is a reference to Dr. Dampare, but that is the allegation that is within the context of this one. So that's why I put Dr. Dampare's photograph there. He says he gave money to a popular prophet in Dome. So you cast your mind. Dome, the prophet is there. He's called. I don't know. He gave money to a popular prophet in Dome so that this 31st, which is it next week, the week after, next Tuesday, something like that? Wednesday's week. Yeah, next Wednesday coming week. So he said he gave the money to the prophet so that on 31st December, that prophet, in doing the 31st December prophecy, will create a prophecy such that the president-elect will know that the Dampare should remain. According to the whistleblower, he said Dampare gave, he didn't say Dampare, he said the said police officer gave money in dollars and pounds to the pastor, and apparently the money was stolen. Is that story familiar? Money was stolen. The money was stolen by some people. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on this story. We have already sent our feelers out for people to tell us what is happening inside. So we keep our eye on that story. It's coming very, very soon. Okay. Now, there's another story. Let's look at it. Boache Ejako, did they reduce it to years? Boache Ejako has been talking about the MPP, and a lot of MPP people are very disappointed about the outcome. As you heard Master Planner Jr., who was in our studio tonight, telling us that they will still say that it is possible to bounce back. So they are going to use as possible. Boache Ejako, who is also a seasoned member of the party and one who has had a lot of regrets in the Akufo-Addo administration. He began the administration beautifully as energy minister. President expressed a lot of confidence in him. Sometime in the process, there was this issue about Ameri. We are not sure what happened, and then he left the government. This is what he says. He says, the clarifying effects of election 2024 are now manifesting themselves. There is now a clarion call for various actions and steps to be taken to rescue our party, the New Patriotic Party. Some are demanding that we take our party back. Various suggestions are beginning to emerge on the types of reforms that our party must embark upon. All these are good ideas and are welcome. However, we must properly gather all of them together and arrange them to avoid a haphazard and an incoherent set of knee-jerk reactions. In response to a similar situation, albeit less humiliating, there arose a grand conspiracy in 2009 that seized the party under the guise of pursuing reforms and put it in the hand of one man, creating a Caesar thereby. The current clamor in my mind seeks to undo the effects of Caesar on the fortunes of our party. In so doing, we must proceed with care and diligence in our search for restoration and healing so that we do not end up repeating the mistakes of the past. For a start, we must ponder over the following central points that are engaging my mind. 1. We may have a clear idea as to who we are taking our party from, but we must be very sure of whose hands we seek to put the party. That's very interesting. We must strive to avoid the situation where we repose total trust and confidence in one man who will then seize the party and treat it as if it were his personal property and the rest of us as his minors to be tread underfoot. We must be absolutely clear as to what form of political organization we seek to model our reforms on. We must ensure that our efforts this time round create a party of like-minded men and women in pursuit of building a nation for the benefit of all, rather than an organization hijacked by a cabal to transfer public wealth into private pockets, or worse still, a cultic organization that in supine impotence bows to the whims and caprices of an individual. These are the central issues that must seize our attention for now. People who forget their history, he says, keep making the same mistakes and keep having to start over rather than being able to build upon the wisdom and accomplishments of the past. That is Boakye Ejako's suggestion. There's another one that's coming up just before we pick up our real story. Electoral Commission has said something. We're going to look at it, and then is that a third one? We discuss Boakye Ejako and then the police officer, and I think there was another one. Yes, Sally Formwako. So Bishop Sally Formwako's child has been sentenced to 6 months at the Senior Correction Center, and that met a lot of concern on social media. Many people were worried that, how can you have a guy who's going to kill somebody in 16? Let me explain to you why that happened. Okay. What is the legal background to this? A look at the Juvenile Justice Act of 2003. Okay, Section 1. For the purpose of the Act, a juvenile is a person under 18 years who is in conflict with the law. So I'm guessing that the young man who was in conflict with the law, who was alleged to have done that unfortunate, very dastardly act, which killed people, very unfortunate. Apparently, he's below the age of 18, isn't he? A juvenile is a person under 18. He's 16 years old, and therefore he's below the age of 18. So this is what the law provides. Let's look at it. Second one, a juvenile shall be dealt with in a manner which is different from an adult, except under exceptional circumstances under Section 17. So the exceptional circumstances must arrive before the court can do something else with a juvenile. Section 46, the duration of the detention. It says, where a juvenile or young offender is ordered to be sent to a center, the detention order shall be the authority for the detention, and the period shall not exceed 6 months for a juvenile offender or above 16 years but under 18. So it shall not exceed 6 months. So actually, the judge gave him the maximum sentence. I don't know how people feel about this. I don't know whether there are any remedies, but we here are trying to explain to you the law so that you don't get, so that you have a basis to challenge what you are challenging. So the story came out like this, that Sally Formwako's son had 6 months. Everyone knows what Sally Formwako's son did. Many people went to the funeral or the requiem mass, however you want to call it. It was a very sad situation, very, very debilitating event of young people losing their lives in such a dastardly, unwarranted, and irresponsible manner. Now, it is being said that the person who committed that offense will go to jail for 6 months, and citizens are worried and are shouting on social media. What we have done here is to show you how the judge was constrained in coming to the conclusions that he came to. You will find out in the final paragraph that the sentence shall not exceed 6 months. So yes, that is the teaser for Good Evening Ghana tonight. Now we're getting into the action itself. Jean Adukwe-Mensah has been talking, and she has brought significant fingers to be typing on social media. We are all typing. Why is she trending? She's trending because today she held a press conference. At the press conference, she outlined certain things. Why did she have to hold a press conference? The election of 7th December is over. The presidential election results have been declared. The winner in the person of John Dramani Mahama, the candidate of the NDC, has been fully announced. The transition has been set in motion with the incoming administration and the outgoing administration. There's some tough quarrel at the transition, but that's a different matter. That does not concern Jean Mensah. She's announced the results for the presidential election and transition is going on. She, however, is not completing the results of the 276 members of parliament. As it looks, the NDC have an overwhelming majority, but the NDC are looking to the conclusion to see whether they can actually secure 2/3 of the vote. That's what the NDC are looking for. Now, if the NDC are not able to get 2/3 of the vote, they will still have an overwhelming majority, but they will lack the 2/3 of the vote. For that to happen, the NPP must win 33-point-something% of the 276. This is more than 1/3. Now, there are 9 or so seats left. If the NPP were to pick up all the 9 seats left, there's the 9 seats left. Thank you very much, producer. Electoral Commission rejected constituency results, parliamentary results, Greater Accra region. Those that are outstanding, Dominic Kwabenya, Ablekuma Central, Okaikwe Central, Ablekuma North, and Tema Central. Let me use this opportunity to say something that I was saying before the election. Viewers, you see the point I was making. When we were saying that the Electoral Commission needs to amend the names of the constituencies. You remember we made that point. Now here we are tonight. Viewers, you're all asking me. I know you're asking me in your head, where is Okaikwe Central? You're asking me that. Where is it? I don't know. Where is Ablekuma North? I don't know. But Tema Central, straight away your mind goes to somewhere. Dominic Kwabenya constituency, straight away your mind goes to somewhere. If they say Osu Klote, your mind goes to somewhere. If they say Bantama, your mind goes to somewhere. They say Ejusu Jabe, your mind goes somewhere. Kwadraso, your mind goes to somewhere. Inshaiso, your mind goes to somewhere. Ofori Chrome, you know what it is. Kofori Dia, you know what it is. Achimchebi. But what is Okaikwe Central? Where is it? Who is the MP there? I now have to break it down. So let's all join the clarion call. The Electoral Commission must name the names of the constituencies by the towns that make that constituency. Domi and Kwabenya is one constituency. So it's called Domi Kwabenya. So Kole Klote should be called Osu Adabraka Asalam Down. Clear, we get it. Now they say Okaikwe Central. Please, Okaikwe Central, is it Baba Siddiq? Is it, which one is Okaikwe Central? That's the point. But anyway, these are the constituencies. Domi and Kwabenya constituency, we all know is Michael Kwe Jr., that's the NDC candidate. Okaikwe Central, I'm not sure. Ablekuma North, I'm not sure. Tema Central, we know what it is. Ashanti region, Ahafua North South, they are looking for it. Ahafua North, they are looking for it. Obuasi East, they are looking for it. Bono East region, Techiman South, they are looking for it. Eastern region, in Samam Aduajiri, they are looking for it. Now, these are the constituencies that the Electoral Commission says they are not conclusive to be able to discuss the parliamentary issue. Now, the issue here is this. The NDC are saying that in 2020's elections, the Electoral Commission told them that once a declaration has been made about the winner, you have to go to court. So the Electoral Commission, the NDC is reminding the Electoral Commission that this is what you said. You said that once a declaration has been made, you go to court. Okay, what's the difference now? Now, Gina Dukwe Mensah is saying that even though declarations were made on the occasion for these 9 constituencies, those declarations have been made invalid or have been invalidated by reason of the duress under which these declarations were made. In the circumstances, one cannot say that the Electoral Commission has declared these results and therefore the next line of action is court. I didn't see Abu Jinapo's seat in here. Can somebody, producer, can you check about Damongo? What's the status of Damongo right now? Is it declared for the NDC or is it declared for the MPP? I'm expecting that it's declared for Samuel Abu Jinapo. Congratulations to him. Okay, so Samuel Abu Jinapo confirmed. It's been declared in favor of Samuel Abu Jinapo for the Damongo seat. So that's an MPP seat. All right. So Electoral Commissioner is saying that in these 9 constituencies, I have not declared. I have declared, but I'm withdrawing my declaration so that I can count it well. In the circumstance, it doesn't show up as one that has been declared. I think that's the contention now. NDC says you have declared, so the next action is court. Electoral Commission says I have declared, but I am withdrawing my declaration. In fact, I have withdrawn my declaration. I want to do a recollation to be sure that the decision of the people, the desires of the people have been correctly counted, the desires of the people as expressed in the ballot box has been correctly accounted for. That's what the Electoral Commission wants to do, that the desire of the people expressed through the ballot box has been correctly accounted for. Now, this is the Electoral Commission's position. NDC says no. This afternoon, Gina Adukwe-Mensah mounted the podium to have a press conference. The chairperson of the Electoral Commission found it necessary to have a press conference on this matter because it's very, very important. These are some of the things she said.
And the political parties were notified accordingly. In spite of police presence at our regional offices, the collation process was once again disrupted and taken over by political party leaders and supporters, and the results declared for both constituencies without due process being followed. In the case of Okankwe Central, a winner was declared without collating results from 31 polling stations. In the case of the Ablekuma North constituency, a winner was declared without collating results from 62 polling stations. This is unacceptable. It is important to note that the declarations made by our staff were made under threat, and the Commission considers this as illegal. Those declarations, as well as others that have gone on in other constituencies, will not be upheld by the Commission. Dear citizens, it is for this reason that the Commission met with the Ghana Police Service once again to re-examine the nature of the security arrangements being provided by the police. The Commission was desirous to protect its staff as well as its electoral collation process. Following the engagement with the police, it was agreed that the Tesano Police Depot would be used as the collation center for all outstanding collations, including Ablekuma North, Okankwe Central, Tema Central, Domi Kwabenya, Nsawam Aduajiri, Ekwetia, Fantiakwa North, Suhum, Techiman South, Obuasi East, Ahafo Ano North, Ahafo Ano South West. The political parties were duly informed once again to nominate 2 agents per constituency to observe the collation process. Unfortunately, the collation process for only 3 constituencies were successfully completed, and they are Akwetia, Fantiakwa North, and the Suhum constituencies. The returning officers in all the 3 constituencies I have just mentioned were allowed for the first time to carry out their work without interference. This enabled them to complete the collation and declare the true outcomes of the election. Though the collation for the Nsawam Aduajiri at the police depot was well advanced on Thursday, the 12th of December 2024, the parties agreed to put the collation on hold until the following day, which was Friday, the 13th of December 2024. Unfortunately, the collation did not take place in spite of the presence of our teams at the collation center, that is the Tesano Police Depot. This was because the Ghana Police Service informed the Commission that their intelligence reports showed that party supporters were planning to besiege the police depot. They thus advised that the process be discontinued.
So that was Gina Adukwe-Mensah. That's what she said. So she claims that there's going to be recollation of these 9 constituencies. As of now, the NDC count all of these 9 as part of theirs, I believe. This is someone's seat. Is that not the one for Anodon Prayer that videos show him walking away dejected, having sort of conceded defeat, or he had lost or something like that? So in almost all of these instances, I believe that Okaikwe Central is Baba Siddiq and Patrick Boame's contest as well. And that one too, Baba Siddiq has granted interviews on radio where he has accepted that he's been the victorious candidate, and he has also threatened that no amount of weak coalition will do anything, etc., etc. So we wait to see what happens. Okay. Electoral Commission rejected constituency. So that's Dina Duku-Mensah. Thank you very much, Madam. You're showing some strength. I think she's showing strength that she wants to do the right thing. She's not going to be intimidated by numbers and all of that. She's showing a lot of strength, and that's what the St. Mary's people will be proud of her, isn't it? Anyway, we wish her well. The institutions of state are more important than the individuals of state. So let's work and protect the institutions of state. Okay, now let's go to the next. The oral first. That's what I said. Let me just talk about the oral, and then I'll come to the appointment. So, this is the letter appointing the members. So it's a press statement. As a preparatory measure towards the rollout of H.E. John Dramani Mahame's promise to recover the proceeds of corruption and hold persons responsible for such corruption accountable when he assumes office, a team has been set up to receive and gather information from members of the public and other sources on suspected acts of corruption. Okay. The team comprises the following: Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Chairman; Mr. Daniel Domelevo, former Auditor General; COP retired Nathan Kofi Boache; Mr. Martin Pegbu, private legal practitioner; and Mr. Raymond Archer, investigative journalist. Mr. Raymond Archer is the investigative journalist. Anti-corruption with Operation Recover All Loot as a major plank formed a core part of H.E. John Mahame's policy in 2024 campaign, and he intends to hit the ground running on it. Okay, so we'll talk about this a bit later. Now we're going to do an exercise in legitimacy. Those of you, it's signed by Felix Kwachi Ofosu. These are the names, and a lot has been said about the names on the list. I mean, we are not going to corroborate some of those, but we'll share with you. A lot has been said about Okujeto Ablakwa and his relationship with corruption to do a corruption work. Some things have been said about Domelevo and his relationship with corruption. How can he do corruption work? We all know that a lot has been said about Kofi Boache and the so-called that. How can he do that? Martin Pegbu has a court issue. Raymond Archer, they talk about something. We'll get into all that, but we're going to use it as a lesson in legitimacy. Now, legitimacy has several strands in politics and in law. So there's popular legitimacy. That means everybody likes it. There's political legitimacy. That means the political systems have produced it. There's legal legitimacy. It means the legal systems have produced it. And so this legitimacy is generally studied by students. Political, legal, popular, economic legitimacy is all of that. So we're going to subject this process to the test of the concept of political, legal legitimacy when we come back after the next story. Now let's get to the next story of the appointments. 8 minutes past 10 o'clock. We still have quite a bit of time. So we have a lot to say. They're going to put out the first level of appointments. We'll look at it. We'll take a break, come back, continue with the oral, and then we get there. Now, this is defense. Who is going to be Minister for Defense? Tell me, who do you want to be Minister for Defense? The last time we had an interesting minister called Mark Oyongo. Unfortunately, he passed. May Allah keep his soul until we meet again. But this is the list now. Ken Ajay, handsome Ken Ajay here, is one of the pivotal actors for the NDC in the Ashanti region. The NDC people know, but many people may not know. Now, I encountered Ken Ajay back in the day when I was in 2014, 2015. I was looking for something from President Mahama. I can't remember what. So I was sort of trying to reach him, and I couldn't. It took me a long time. Then somebody told me that. So one of the people who was helping me to get in touch with him, I said, "Well, can I see the old man?" He said, "Yeah, this is your matter, but you come. You're from Ashanti region." I said, "Yes." He said, "Do you know Ken Ajay?" I said, "No." He said, "That's a guy you need to see. See Ken Ajay." I said, "Who is he?" He said, "He's the Deputy Minister of Defense." I said, "Really? Who is the Minister of Defense?" It was Ben Kumbo at the time. He said, "Ken Ajay is his deputy." So I went to the Minister of Defense. Ben Kumbo had been my lecturer, so I had a good relationship with him. So I went to him. I said, "Oh," he said, "Hey, Paul, how are you?" We started talking about law school. And I said, "But I've come to see your deputy." He said, "What is it about?" I said, "I need to see JM." And everybody says, he said, "Hey, then he's the one. Call him. Ken, come. He came, very respectful young man. He came up to Ben Kumbo's office and said, "Do you know Paul?" He said, "Oh, but who doesn't know Paul Adomochi?" Then he complained that, "Hey, Paul, you two, this is your good evening Ghana." Then I knew the guy is political. Very, that was his first thing he said. "Say you two, then this is your good evening Ghana. You've been bashing us." So then we started talking, and then I got to know him. Very decent guy, very cool guy, very nice, cool guy. He doesn't, you won't know how much influence he has with the first family. And I'm not sure why, but he's very close to Lordina as well. So he acted as Deputy Minister of Defense throughout the period. Now, during the campaign of 2016, I was trying to reach him, I couldn't. And then he called me back, said he has seen all my WhatsApp, but he's in Ashanti region, he's in Joabi and all those places. I said, what are you doing there? He said, oh, you think that will allow people to get millions of votes here this time? This time we won't allow it, we are inside. This 2016, he told me that. So when the results came, I called him and I was laughing at him, and he said, oh, it's fine. And then later on, when he left power, he was studying something. He's a lawyer, though. He was studying, and he told me what he's studying. So today when we checked, and somebody told me that, look, the defense is going to Kenaje. I had reason to believe it, because I know he was deputy there, and I know the relationship he has with the JM people, and how hard he worked in Ashanti for this NDC victory. I know it. So that's a big one. But here is Joshua Alabi, who people are saying that, but Joshua Alabi has been around for a long time. He's pushed this party. He's been campaign manager. I mean, he's been minister before. So if you want to bring him back so they have some of the old guys sort of checking into the cabinet to make sure that everyone is kept on the straight and narrow, then you need Joshua Alabi in there as defense. So that's come up. And then there's Alexander Segbefia. What do you do with Alex Segbefia? Alex Segbefia exited the government as a Minister for Health. I exited the last John Mahama government as Minister for Health. Alex Segbefia is interested in becoming defense minister. Is he entitled to it? The answer will be yes. Does he have a constituency? Yes. There's a Lukopa, Sugakopa, Adudome, Denu, their constituency, Keta. It's Alex Segbefia. He's the one representing them. You know, there's no more Rawlins. Unfortunately, recently, General Arnold Kwenu passed. Yeah, General Anidoho is there, but Anidoho is not that political. And so the Lukopa Mafia, Sugakopa Mafia, Adudome, Denu, and Keta is Alex Segbefia. Does it matter in NDC politics? Yes, it does. What will President Mahama do? I don't know. Let's wait for it. So that's defense. Do we have another stretch before we take on to the break? Whoa, foreign affairs. There's a huge conversation going on there. An absolutely incredible conversation going on at foreign affairs. Who is going to represent President John Dramani Mahama as the foreign minister? What will be that foreign minister's role? Very, very important. President Mahama is already showing excellent relations with Bola Tinubu, His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We have noticed that already. During the campaign, and I can say this now, I couldn't say it then. During the campaign, rumors were rife that the Nigerian political establishment is angry with MPP and is therefore supporting NDC. Some people in MPP tried to get some important politicians in Nigeria like Saraki and others to sort of change their mind and look the MPP's way. The question you may ask, what can the federal government in Nigeria or anybody in Nigeria do to help the government or do to help a political party in Ghana for elections in Ghana? There may be a lot. You and I may not understand it because we are not operating at a high level, but those who operate at the top level, they know a lot can happen in that relationship. Now, Bola Tinubu is reported to have ignored, or better still, snubbed, actually, the MPP when they tried to reach him to sort of support them. The reason being that during his election, he was told that the MPP government in Ghana supported Atiku's ambition in Nigeria against that of Bola Tinubu. And Bola Tinubu apparently was aware of that, and so he's not been too happy. So when you saw the photographs of Bola Tinubu and President Mahama cozying up to each other 2-3 days ago, perhaps for those of us who knew the story, it came at the back of our mind. So what will be the responsibility of the next foreign minister? The next foreign minister is supposed to have an excellent relationship with the ECOWAS sub-region. President Akufo-Addo was exceptionally close to Alassane Ouattara, but that can change. Any Ghanaian president can be close to any Ivorian president, so that's okay. Ouattara will be neutral. Liberia is an important place to look at because they've just had a new government and it's picking up. Nigeria is over there. Then you have the critical ones, Burkina Faso, sitting right on top of Ghana, Niger, Mali. There has to be a certain stabilization in the ECOWAS sub-region. And the foreign minister of Ghana will be very, very important in that matter. It's a big issue. Also, West Africa will be reorganizing itself to now relate to the new authority in America, the second coming of Donald J. Trump. West Africa would have to look at, within ECOWAS sub-region, how do you relate to America? What is Trump going to do with America's foreign policy, especially the foreign policy that relates to Africa? What is he going to do with Millennium Challenge accounts? What is he going to do with AGOA? Is he going to scrap them? How do you penetrate Donald Trump's White House as an African bloc? The foreign minister of Ghana is very, very important in that conversation. Now, with that at the back of your mind, now the other thing is the foreign minister of Ghana will also have to police the narrative about Ghana relating to Ghana's relationship with the IMF. So Ghana has a relationship with the IMF now. We are in an IMF program. The program is expected to end in December 2026. The foreign minister of Ghana will have to keep an eye on that narrative about every 3 months what the IMF is saying about Ghana and whether Ghana is putting itself together to be able to wean itself away from the IMF program. All of these are going to be principal issues that the foreign minister of Ghana must first understand. He must know people who understand it, and he must have a very solid background to navigate these areas. That person, the foreign minister of Ghana, is also the international spokesperson for President Mahama. Whatever happens with President Mahama, whatever policy he takes up, this foreign minister person is the one who is going to explain it to the general public, one, and to explain it in the diplomatic circles at the United Nations, in Geneva, in Addis Ababa, in Cairo. He is going to do all of that. When you get to Asia, what is going to be Ghana's new relationship with China? Galamsey is a big issue. We have been chasing out Chinese people. Aisha Wan is in jail. Are the Chinese government going to ask President Mahama to release Aisha Wan on pardon? Will President Mahama be able to do that? How does President Mahama police the Galamsey issue? And how does this Galamsey question affect Sino-Ghana relationship? That foreign minister is very, very critical in all of these analyses. This is getting very interesting, isn't it? Russia and Ukraine war, is it going to end? How is Donald Trump going to play in the commodities problem from Ukraine? What's going to happen? So, let's come to the table and see who and whom could be very well prepared for this job. Let's begin with the one who is looking for it, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. He's desperately looking for it. Now, Ablakwa has been the ranking member for Foreign Affairs for the NDC in Parliament for the last 4 years. In his role as ranking member of Foreign Affairs, he believes he has been able to uncover some corruption and something untoward relating to government dealings with bungalows in Norway and some land in Ghana for some foreign service mission people. He's been whistleblowing on some of these things. So he feels that he has done a yeoman's job to bring himself into the position of a minister. His last exit from government was a deputy minister at education. Before then, he was a deputy minister at information. So he's been deputy minister at information, deputy minister at education. Now he wants to be a real minister, and his choice is foreign affairs, because in Parliament he's been working as the ranking member for a while. With all the things that have been said, do you think it should be Okudzeto Ablakwa? But he's the one looking for it. Let me jump over the two distinguished ladies and come to Joyce Bauer. Joyce Bauer here, who's been dancing quite a lot after the NDC victory, she seems very, very excited, and rightly so. She's been dancing a lot. Joyce Bauer here was deputy minister at transport. That's her last job. She was deputy to Jifar Tivo, and then the party went into position. She went to President Mahama's office. Now, Joyce Bauer here wants to be foreign minister. That's the lobby that she's put across. She's been serving President Mahama for 8 years as a special assistant in President Mahama's office. She's a barrister called to practice in Ghana. She has not gone to do her barrister work. She has dedicated her concept and her legal brain to the support of John Dramani Mahama's office. Victory has come. Victory has come in leaps and bounds, in huge quantities. Now, with such huge quantity victory, Joyce Bauer is saying that it is time for me to be foreign minister of Ghana. So that's on the card. Okay. My uncle Kojo Bonsu from Mesha Palace, Apejafie, also thinking that this issue about foreign minister, we cannot joke with. We can't joke with it. The foreign minister we need in Ghana at this time must be one who has true international business connections. You are in an IMF program already. You are not able to borrow from the commercial market. If you don't have a foreign minister who can go to Maldives, Abu Dhabi, Singapore, the non-traditional areas of getting money and support, if you don't have a foreign minister who can do that, Kojo Bonsu is telling them, Charlie, forget it. It's not going to happen. The developments won't happen because you're in an IMF program. So your choice for foreign minister must not just be about the political, legal issues I'm discussing. It must be a business choice for somebody who can go there with the mandate to bring business into Ghana. And he thinks, and the lobby for Kojo Bonsu says, that one has to be Kojo Bonsu, foreign minister. Then now let's come to the two ladies. Hannah Tete exited the last government as foreign minister. So very similar argument to JM. John Dramani Mahama was president. He did one term. He left. He couldn't get the second term even though he wanted it. He's now come back with a whooping super majority to complete the second term. In the last term, his foreign minister was Hannah Tete. They went to UN together. They went to Commonwealth together. They wrote the speeches together. President Mahama is coming to sort of continue that last term that he had, as it were. In the circumstances, who best be the foreign minister with all the things that I've said that the foreign ministry needs? Shouldn't it be Hannah Tete? That's what the lobby of Hannah Tete is saying, that let's get to Hannah Tete. Betty Mould Idris's lobby is watching all of this and saying that, but if we have to have a foreign minister, and for some reason people don't want Hannah Tete, I can do it. She's been at the Commonwealth Secretariat before. She's a very senior person. She's been Attorney General. She's been Minister of Education. She has extensive international profile. She was president of the FIDA Africa. She's been big in formation of the voices for women using the legal profession across Africa to form FIDA Africa, FIDA Ghana. She's been a patron of FIDA Ghana forever. She has this wide experience, and she has an ability to bring people together. Her husband is a long servant of the NDC, the Keda, Alhaji Mahama Idrisu. So, Betty Mould has a claim, doesn't she? Well, let's wait for John Dramani Mahama to see the decision that he'll be taking. Later tonight, I'll be going to other forms of ministerial. I'll be talking about national security. That's coming up big time. And then I will talk about the oral group. Let's take a break now. Have we taken the first break? Let's take text messages first, and then we'll take the first break at 21 minutes past the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. This is Good Evening Ghana, and it's live. Who should I start with? Fatih. And then Master Planner, do you know how to do the messages? Have they told you? Just go on your Facebook page and then see our messages and then see whether you can read some. But Fatih, you start. Let's see whether we can get to Master Planner later on.
Thank you, Paul. So this is coming from Aaron Babakon, and then he says, the Operation Recover All Loot initiative set by President Mahama is a crucial step towards combating corruption within the system. Corruption has long been a pervasive issue in many countries, including Ghana, and it's essential to take proactive measures to tackle this problem. The oral initiative aims to investigate and recover looted funds that have been acquired through corrupt practices by holding those responsible for corruption accountable. This initiative sends a strong message that corruption will not be tolerated in Ghana. Corruption not only undermines the integrity of institutions and erodes public trust, but it also hinders economic development and social progress. By rooting out corruption through initiatives like the oral, Ghana can create a more transparent and accountable government that serves the best interest of its people. In order to effectively combat corruption, it is essential to have strong institutions, a robust legal framework, and a culture of accountability. The oral initiative is a step in the right direction towards achieving these goals. Now, Swala Ahmed says, I'm really disappointed in the police for security provided in the 2024 election. The NPP supporters doesn't know that this was how the NDC supporters wanted to behave. Lawlessness everywhere. Sorry, Mr. IGP. Now, Yaubafoy says there was no declaration for Nsawam Adudri. The collation was halted when the thugs entered to force the returning officer to declare. Mashoud says, but the juveniles who murdered the boy at Kaswa were put on detention till they reached 18 years before sentencing them. That's on the Alhaji Salifus issue. Lily Wu says, I think the law needs an overhaul. 6 months is too short. They should charge the parents then. And lastly, coming from Aaron Babaku says, as we enter into the 9th Parliament in Ghana, the decision to whether Dr. Dampare should be retained as the Inspector General of Police should be carefully considered. While his leadership has brought about positive changes and improvement within the Ghana Police Service, there are still areas that require attention and improvement. Ultimately, the decision should be based on assessment of Dr. Dampare's overall performance and effectiveness in fulfilling his duties as the head of the police force.
She says, God richly bless you always, Mr. President. From Yao, he says, those positions are very essential in the running of a nation. Correct TV says, Correct TV is watching live from Germany. I am very, very disappointed in the IGP. Salawu says, good evening, Mr. Paul. It's good for you to keep educating us for the peace of our beloved country. Ya Papibi says, the EC's press conference shows us how weak our police force is. From Yao again, he says, the minimal sentence imposed on Salifu's son is okay. Mashood says, but the juveniles who murdered the boy at Kaswa were put on detention till they reached 18 years old before sentencing them. We have from Yao Bafo, he says, there was no declaration for Nsawam, Aduedri. The coalition was halted when the thugs entered to force the returning officer to declare. From Ajinkwa, he says, the best, bold, and most intelligent commissioner ever. From Ahmed, he says, Paul is a delight to watch and he is so good. Lastly, from Yao, he says, the well-being of this person must be taken into consideration before awarding such a great position. Over to you, Antoinette.
Right. So a lot of people still have a lot to say about the Operation Recover All Loot by President Mahama. Here is what Yasil North, all the way from Gonja, has to say. He says that the NDC's incoming government oral committee is merely a superficial committee if the anti-corruption efforts are going to rely on rumors and conjecture from individuals like Malik and Fifi Kwachi and Co., along with misinformation and gossip being passed to state agencies, then I pity this administration. He goes on to say, for example, if I claim that I saw Honorable Haruna Idrisu accepting $1 million for someone in exchange for an appointment, this unsubstantiated allegation could lead to unwarranted inquiries. Relying on conjecture and gossip will only waste our state resources without any meaningful outcomes. Also, Shugui Jonas has this to say about the Ora. He says, one would have suggested that Mr. Mahama, His Excellency the President-elect, would mean something good for his oral committee, but the future and its core objectives look more scary and more of a fanfare group to think of. The likes of Mr. Martin Pelu and Honorable Ablakwa are too political and does not fit the purpose of the oral. Now, this is what Akwesi Achampo has to say about the IGP stance, especially now that the NDC is about to come into power. He says that the IGP Dampari has been petrified into inaction by the violence and threats of John Mahama and the NDC to make his tenure coterminous with Akufo-Addo's presidency. He is more concerned with his position than protecting actual lives and property. He says that Akufo-Addo must fire him before he leaves office, and if Mahama can reappoint Dampari, he can do so if he likes. Real Maxby has this to say about Jane Mensah's post. He says, Apostle Paul, why is Jane Mensah being economical with the truth? She should have been bold to name and shame. Is it not the NDC soldiers and hooligans going around and terrorizing peaceful citizens and Electoral Commission officials to succumb to their whims and caprices? And so why is Jane Mensah afraid to name and shame them rather than generalizing the matter? Now back to you, Paul.
Okay, so I have one text message here. Typically, I wouldn't be reading, but let me do that today before Master Planner Junior from Kintampo, who's in the studio, comes up. Now, this is said to be, it's very interesting, very, very serious matter. Let me get there. I'm reading it because the person who sent it signed his name, but he's alleging some major things. He says, yours sincerely, Nana Ewusi Kwansa, and his email is there, kwansananaewusi@gmail.com. And it's a letter he sent to me, and he's also sent it to H.E. Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, outgoing president of Ghana, H.E. Don Dramani Mahama, president-elect of Ghana. This is what he says as follows. Open letter to chairman of the oral committee, Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, to investigate Dr. Akufo Dampare over huge sums of cash withdrawals from the IGP account with the Bank of Ghana. It's as follows. It says, Mr. Chairman, I would like to take this opportunity, writing to Ablakwa, to congratulate you on the members for this mantle you have taken. As a concerned citizen, he says, and a serving police officer. That's interesting. He's a serving police officer. He's prepared to go to the oral with these allegations. Let's see what he says. Serving police officer, I write to bring to your attention an urgent matter regarding stated acts of corruption and financial malfeasance involving the Inspector General of Police, Dr. Akufo Dampare, and will further urge your committee to investigate, saying, the police service stands as one of the cornerstones of Ghana's security apparatus, taking tax with maintaining law and order and protecting citizens. However, recent developments have cast a shadow over this vital institution, raising concerns about the integrity of the leadership. Allegations of corruption and financial malfeasance against the Inspector General of Police have fueled public discourse. These accusations, coupled with widespread reports in the media about questionable conduct within the police service, threatens to erode the trust and confidence of the Ghanaian populace in the institution. Intelligence indicates that since Monday, 16 December 2024, Dr. Dampare has withdrawn 10 million cedis from the IGP account at the Bank of Ghana. This is very serious. He has the power to withdraw. He may have had a reason why he's withdrawing, but just the fact that he has withdrawn money doesn't mean that he's corrupt. It just means that he has to explain it, because nobody will understand. What does the IGP need? 10 million Ghana cedis. 10 million Ghana cedis, which is a lot of dollars. Not up to, I'm not sure it's up to $1 million. I don't think so, but it is a lot of money in dollar terms. 10 million Ghana cedis from the IGP account at the Bank of Ghana. This account, intended to finance police operations and welfare, has reportedly been a source of funds for unauthorized transactions. These allegations are particularly troubling given their implication for the operational efficiency of the service. The Ghana Police Service participates in international peacekeeping missions under the auspices of the United Nations and the African Union. Funds accrued from these missions amounting to millions of dollars are allegedly under the exclusive control of the IGP, Dr. Dampare. Concerns about the accountability and transparency of these funds have been compounded by claims of misappropriation for personal or political gain. A long-standing accusation against Dampare suggests a pattern of diverting funds from police accounts to bribe politicians and journalists. They say that Dr. Dampare has removed the 10 million cedis to bribe politicians and journalists. The police IGP, I can't believe this allegation. The police IGP, who is supposed to catch politicians and people who are doing bribery, the police IGP is alleged to be sending the money to pay the people that he should be catching, politicians and journalists. He's paying them. I don't believe this one bit. Well, but that's why the committee is there. They will investigate. There have been reports retired police officers facing financial hardship while needing medical assistance, highlighting the mismanagement and lack of prioritization of welfare funds under Dr. Dampare. His acts of corruption undermine the integrity of the Ghana Police Service and erode public trust. It's important to note that since the retirement of Director General in charge of welfare, COP Mrs. Habiba Chumeshi Sapon, from the office, Dampare has deliberately refused to have another person take her place, though there are equally competent commissioners of police available to handle that. Intelligence suggests that the funds from the police welfare scheme has also been misappropriated by Dampare. Sorry, viewers. The thing is too plenty. Okay, over to you, Oral. Now you have your work cut out for you. I'm sure the person will bring it. His name is Nana Ewusi Kwansa. He says he's a 7 police officer. Now, Master Planner Junior from Kintampo. What are they saying?
Okay. I'll start with Nana Akuyama Boateng from Ablekuma Central. He says, "Good evening, Mr. Paul. The NDC's Operation Recover All Loot is to create a lacuna to milk the state coffers. If not, what exactly are they going to do, which the police CID, Yoko, OSP, and SRAJ cannot do? Concert party." And then Yapapa says, "Ablakwa as foreign minister, like seriously?" Lastly, from Abdu Zati from Bolgatanga, he said, "Kai, Apostle Paul, this is more than a political show, but rather a political science lectures."
All right, we're going to do a bit more of political science lecturing because we're going to talk about political legitimacy. Let's get to Oral. We'll come back to foreign affairs and national security. It's now at 27 minutes to the top of the hour at 11 o'clock. It's Good Evening Ghana. It's live. Oh, they're urging me to take a break. Yay. When I take a break, my viewers don't like it. Oh, they say that when I take a break. Okay, after the break, we'll take the committee set up by President Mahama under the signature of Felix Kwasi Ofosu. We'll take it through the test. Those of you who did chemistry in Presec, you know, they taught us titration, isn't it? We'll take it through a test of political legitimacy. When we come back, then I'll show you we'll do this. I'll show you the Duncan Williams video I've been talking about. And then we have some more appointments to come. And we'll remind you of the book. Get a copy soon and let it be your Christmas reading list. Thanks for staying with us. We'll be right back after the break to deal with a very interesting gossipy story. The members of President Mahama's oral committee, the first oral committee set up. The members, who are they? Why are they there? That's coming up on Good Evening Ghana after the break. Stay with us.
There's nothing worse than your multi-bet missing, but nothing better than having it saved. Bet Saver.
Hey, what's up?
How far with your internship?
To be honest, I'm so nervous about starting this new role on Monday.
Oh, please. I know you'll be great at it. You should be worried about what benefits they have. Example, do they have health insurance?
I doubt they will have that for internet. But no shaking. I have NHIS already.
Actually, I'm on a line.
Ina, look at you. What are you going to do in the office when you can just download the app to register for an NHIS membership?
Yes, my people. You heard right. You can now download and register your membership on my NHIS app. No long queues or tedious paperwork. All you need is your Ghana card to register for yourself and for others. Once you register, you get a new digital NHIS card on your phone. My NHIS app gives you access to credentialed health facilities and services across the country. NHIS covers over 95% of disease conditions in Ghana. Access to healthcare just got easier.
Now let me sign up quickly. Me, Seth, I'm starting work next month.
Jingle bells, jingle bells. Ho, ho, ho! Christmas is in the air. And it all starts at Electrum. Get amazing gift vouchers worth up to 5,000 Ghana cedis. Plus, incredible discount of up to 60% on all your favorite electronics. From smart TVs to washing machines, refrigerators, mobiles, laptops, and more. Get the best deals on all big brands like LG, Broom, Samsung, Philips, Orient, Infinix, Tecno, Tamashi, Pico, Itel, HP, and many more. Call or WhatsApp us on 0552 777 905. Celebrate Christmas full with goodies only at Electromat, your world of electronics.
Attention all farmers. Are you ready to take your crops to the next level? Introducing 3 effective organic composts that will revolutionize your farming practices. ACAP, KCAP, and Iricop brings to you the ultimate solution for your fertilizer needs. Introducing the ACAP Grade A, KCAP Equiafua Jinkwa, and the Iricop with cocoa blends, palm blend, and mulch. These are made from locally sourced municipal solid waste, and these are the perfect choice for sustainable farming. Join the organic revolution today. Boost your crop yield, improve soil health, and support sustainable farming practices. Choose ACAP, KCAP, and Iricop organic compost for a greener and bountiful harvest. For your purchase and more information, call the numbers on your screen. Our products are endorsed by COCOBOD, Planting for Food and Jobs, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
Here's Kwame and Yao. Sis.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Look around.
home also need a makeover.
Mine clearly does. So we went to Ashroom and found the Como collection. It had everything we're looking for and more. Merchant furniture for the entire home, designed with you in mind.
Where's Como collection? Dressing up is just a breeze. Always ready with a perfect accessory.
A magic dressing mirror. One look and you're ready to face the world. Or at least the kids.
A bed perfect for young men who want
a table that turns into a treasure chest.
And finally, a sofa with this grand TV unit for family time at home.
Head over to any Ashphone store now and discover the new Como collection. Ashphone, feel it, know it.
Apomode honsem yemfen diagro. Enunti nese wonum ede papa nko a. Exodus moringa capsules, any Exodus dandelion capsules. Efi Exodus elusuyenum, na beboa wa pomode. Emu bia wo benya no betimi aboa. Nanso, se wonya tu no a, wo betimi andom abom. Na beboa papa. Se wonum Exodus moringa capsules, ne Exodus dandelion capsules. Eboa mamoja di efusani yie. Na afei, ebusi wo immune system no. Na kweti ayarewa ahodo. Minim yie se, nipa dodo na nim dia moringa etimi ye. Na dandelion so ye nim. Enu nti, menkasa bebre. Enye mma apemfo. Ana abatan a oma enifo. Ana abofra onya emfidumi. Exodus, ehu adansi die doso.
This is Coastal Park, a well-demarcated gated community carved out to host your residential and commercial properties. With a minimum of 40,000 Ghana cedis, you too can own a piece of the serene site.
It's just 50 minutes drive from the Central University College, as well as just some 5 minutes drive from the Ningo Senior High School. More so, just in case you live somewhere in Adam and you want to take that excursion to many of those areas along the Volta estuary, this is the right property for you to invest in.
Great news from Estate Masters Limited. We're running a 10% discount promo on all sites to celebrate our 10th anniversary. Join in the celebration by becoming an Estate Master. Enjoy benefits such as free site visits throughout the duration, free indenture, and free site plan. Contact us for more information. Remember, T's and C's apply. Estate Masters Limited, your most preferred estate partner.
There's nothing worse than your multi-bet missing, but nothing better than having it saved. BetSaver.
Welcome back to the show, and thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure. Let me just get back onto the touch screen. And okay, good. Lessons in legitimacy, political legitimacy. Okay, so legitimacy is a concept. Please, can you ask them whether legitimacy documents are ready? Have they written out the legitimacy? Yeah, I think that's what they are showing me. Excellent. So legitimacy is a concept. Now, there are 4 strands of the concept of legitimacy. This concept is discussed within political legal theory, if you like. So there's legal legitimacy, there's political legitimacy, and there's popular legitimacy, and there's moral legitimacy. Okay, let's take them one by one, and then after that, we'll put the oral context within it. All right. What's legal legitimacy? Legal legitimacy is an authority. And legitimacy is discussing authority, roles, authority. Okay. Legal legitimacy is that authority that arises out of the operation of law. So in the operation of law, we say two things. In political science, they call it de facto and de jure. So de facto in political science means as an operation of the fact. So you can call somebody a de facto president and a de jure president. Now, the de jure is by, jure is law, J-U-R-E in Latin. The de jure is by operation of law. The de facto is by operation of fact. That's terms in political science. The same terms are in the law. I'll show you what the law one is. So legitimacy is measuring the power that you have, where you are drawing it from. So legal legitimacy. So in law, de jure is called ipso jure, and de facto is called ipso facto. So ipso facto is by operation of fact. Ipso jure is by operation of law. De jure is by the way the fact appears. De facto, de jure is by the way the law appears. De facto is by the way the fact appears. So legitimacy is measured within the context of where you draw the power from. So legal legitimacy means that that authority is drawing his power from the law. So the law confers presidency on the president. But the elections make the person president for the law to confer the presidency on him. So the elections have made President Mahama the next president of Ghana. The law will confirm President Mahama when he takes the oath. That is why the oath is sworn in by the Chief Justice, not the outgoing president. Because the Chief Justice is the fountain of the law at the top hierarchy of the Constitution, the head of the judiciary. So the Chief Justice is giving legal legitimacy to that person who has gained political legitimacy already by reason of the ballot box. So by reason of the ballot box alone does not make you president. If a man wins elections in 2004 on 7 December, he wins elections on 7 December, that's political elections, he's won it. He has political legitimacy. If that man or woman, for some reason, does not live to 7 January of the next year, he would never be called Ghana's president. He would have been called a president-elect who won the election but never lived to obtain the legal legitimacy. So that's legal legitimacy. That's political legitimacy. What is popular legitimacy? Popular legitimacy is the most dangerous one. Because you see, popular legitimacy can conflict with legal legitimacy. So a person who has legal legitimacy can make a decision, e-levy, which lacks popular legitimacy. But you will have to obey e-levy because e-levy carries legal legitimacy. If you don't obey e-levy, you will have problems with the law. The whole Ghana, 30 million people can go on demonstration against e-levy and shout about it and throw it away and all of that. That means e-levy lacks popular legitimacy, but it will have legal legitimacy. Okay, let me take another example. Now let's come to moral legitimacy. What is moral legitimacy? Moral legitimacy is measured by the people over policies that the people with legal legitimacy make to determine whether this is moral or it is not. So, the school feeding program, they find out that a certain company that is doing school feeding program for Okankwe Central is always feeding the children with weevils. That school feeding program and the conduct of that person is beginning to lack moral legitimacy. So then you will see that the policy of school feeding program, which has legal legitimacy, when it begins to have moral illegitimacy, that policy is beginning to collapse. So for a government, and the political sciences and legal and lawyers always clash on the concept of legitimacy. Whereas for the political scientists, the part of legitimacy that is most important to them is the political and the popular. That's how political scientists see it. That is why Ransford Jampo, Kobe Mensah, and them were talking the things they were talking. Hey, Kobe Mensah, how are you, by the way? I like the way you sign out your Facebook. I told you before. Pum pum. That's what he says. Pum pum. NDC's huge majority. Pum pum. Tell Kobe Mensah I was mentioning his name on Good Evening Ghana, and I said pum pum. Okay. So for political science, it's a very interesting concept. Sorry, I enjoy these things, so maybe I'm getting into it too much and becoming boring. I hope I'm not boring, viewers. Sorry. For political scientists, Professor Michael Quay and them, they are interested in political legitimacy and popular legitimacy. The lawyers, Professor Kumado, they don't care about politics. It's legal legitimacy. As the man got the power to do that, he has done it. Okay. So let's now put oral, the committee, in the context of this, and then you will understand why President Mahama said this evening that the oral committee is merely to collect information. These were the words he used. Merely to collect information. They can give me that news item. He said it's merely to collect information and hand over that information to these are the words he used, to the state institutions for them to conduct further investigation. That's what he said. This is it. He said, Operation Recover All Loot Oral Committee will assemble corruption evidence and pass it on to the appropriate government institutions for further investigation. So they are supposed to gather evidence to pass it on to the people who have the legal legitimacy. Let's get back to the legitimacy context. Let's get back to legitimacy. So President Mahama is saying that these people, they don't have legal legitimacy. That's what he's admitting. He said they don't have legal legitimacy. But we're just asking you, general public, just you tell them what you know about people who have stolen money. Tell them what you know. People who have stolen money and put it, you know where they've put it. It's in Asankregua, it's in Commander, it's in somewhere. I know some houses inside. All of that, you bring it to the committee. Tell them everything. Then they will take it, look at it. I don't know the skill they are going to use. Look at it. When I say look at it, I mean technical skill. They're going to use to look at it. And then when they finish, they will give it to a state institution for further investigation. It is only when the state institution has picked up that document that you can have legal legitimacy to be able to take an action against the so-called corruption. Right now, that committee setup only has political legitimacy. Maybe it has popular legitimacy. Perhaps it even has moral legitimacy, but it lacks huge legal legitimacy. That's the conversation. Now, somebody sent me a text. Let's have the people there again, the team in the oral. That text, I mean, it's going on social media, and they said, I'll read it to you in a minute. Give me the list of the Ablakwas committee. Yeah, thank you. So, the person said, it's here. It's here. And he said that, please, I've seen this on social media, but I still want you to read it on Good Evening Ghana. It has been used by some stations already. He said, okay, it's an MPP thing. They talk about, I said, okay, let's go through the leaders of the committee. Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, the same man who was prosecuted by Martin Amidu for Isofoten corruption for $1 million, the chairman of the committee. That's what he says. Then he comes to, he continues with Martin Pegbu. He says, Martin Pegbu, Paul, you yourself have said on TV and quoted the High Court ruling where Martin Pegbu was found for stealing somebody's book, intellectual property. That's what it says about Martin Pegbu. Then he says, Raymond Archer, the man who bought state land at trade fair for 100 cedis. 100 cedis? And put his private company on it and was making business. Oh, I know that story. I interviewed Raymond on Good Evening Ghana. Did he buy it for 100 cedis? I don't know what arrangement he had, but yes, he had his company at trade fair. McDan and the trade fair people went to break it. He came on Good Evening Ghana. We had an interview. But the person says, a man who bought government land for, well, it is government land, his company was there, but I don't think that he bought it for 100 cedis. I don't know. Okay. And then he goes on to say, Kofi Boache, Paul, again, were you not one of the journalists who covered the Georgiana Wood Committee where Kofi Boache was questioned for his alleged involvement in drug dealing, and following that, the police service actually suspended him and changed his position from Director of Operations to Head of Education, the little education unit near the license office. That's where his office was. And he was suspended for 1 year before he came back to that one. I covered the Georgiana Wood. Yeah, it's true. I covered the Georgiana Wood. Some of you are young, you don't know, but there was a Georgiana Wood committee set up in 2007 or 6, I think, about this MV Benjamin cocaine scandal. I mean, in those days, I used to talk to Raymond Archer quite a bit because he knew about the scandal. I used to talk to him quite a bit about that. Okay, so, and then who else? He said, finally, Domelevo, who had a moral deficiency for accepting an appointment from a president who had lost election and then proceeded to forge his age and was exited from the government by being alleged to have forged his age. Are these the people who are going to follow corruption and chase it for President Mahama? God help Ghana, he says. I'm not sure whether all of those things are correct. But anyway, so that's the conversation. So this committee don't have legal legitimacy. They don't. So they are going to, if I know of corruption, I call one of them, Kofi Boachi, whom I know. Whose number do I have here? I think it's only Kofi Boachi. Maybe Raymond Acha, yeah. So I called them and I said, I want to come before your committee. I go, I said, hey, good morning. How are you? Please, my name is Paul Adumoch. I know that the former minister of this, he has a house at Adenta. And when you go into that house, I went for a party there. He has a swimming pool behind the house. And under the swimming pool, he has money there. You have to go and collect it. I don't know where he got the money from, but I'm sure that he has stolen it. I'm sure it's. So you have to go and collect it. Then they'll write it down. They write the name of the person, and then that's it. Then I leave. Then they'll ask me that, what is the basis? Do you have this? I come. I said that I know someone who works at ECG. And he told me that when they were importing the meters, the board chairman, he brought his own company. It is for him. And that company is the one that imported. Hey, what's the name of the company? The name of the company is Nyamele Woke Enterprise. Okay, good. Nyamele Woke Enterprise. Who is the owner? It's for the board chairman of ECG. He's the one who owns that company. I know, Pa. Do you know how I know? Because his driver came there and I took the checkbook and I looked and his name was in it. The Nyamele Woke Enterprise, his name was there. It's for the board chairman. Okay, they collect the information. Then another person comes says this. So President Mahama is saying that they are going to collect all that information. They will gather it as evidence and then hand it over to IYOKO, a special prosecutor, the Attorney General's department. All of those are legitimate state institutions that can then go to Registrar General. In fact, this committee cannot write to Registrar General. They don't have a locus to write anything to Registrar. They can't write to anybody. They can't write to GRA. They can't do anything. So when President Mahama is inaugurated, as he says, this committee will now gather the evidence. Now, this is how serious it is. If President Mahama becomes, when President Mahama becomes president on 7 January, and he wants to set up a committee like this, under the Constitution, the President of Ghana is allowed to set up commissions of inquiry and committees of inquiry. That process goes through Parliament. So the President will write to Parliament and say that I'm setting up a commission of inquiry. I like it to go through Parliament. I'm setting up the commission for this purpose. There will be a set terms of reference. There will be everything in there. It's not a wide set of reference that if you know that somebody has stolen, come and tell us. No. When it goes to Parliament, they will have a terms of reference. And then the President will make proposal of the names of people who should go on that committee. Any Ghanaian can challenge any of those names. So when the President is in opposition, he can just set up this is fine. But when he becomes president, he can't set up committee of inquiry, commission of inquiry without the laid down due process. Now, what's a commission of inquiry? That's what they set up. I also West Wogon. You remember that? The one who went to Emil Short and some people, set up by the president through Parliament, approved by Parliament. The other one, National Truth and Reconciliation Committee, set up by Kufuor way back. Some of you may be too young to remember. It went through Parliament. So presidents of Ghana, their role is outlined in the 1992 Constitution. When they want to set up a committee or a commission of inquiry, and lawyers know that there's a difference between a committee of inquiry and a commission of inquiry, go and ask B.A.J. Darocha, he will tell you. There's a major world of difference between commission of inquiry and committee of inquiry. It came up in the 1969 Constitution and all of that. So lawyers know that. So presidents cannot just set up committee. Now, when he sets up the committee, pursuant to the provisions on the laid down rules, any Ghanaian can say, but Mr. President, if you are setting up a committee for corruption, why is this man on it? And that challenge to that committee of inquiry would be entertained because he's Ghanaian. And the president, in setting up a commission of inquiry, is doing that in exercise of the powers conferred on him by the Constitution, which powers are conferred on him by the social contract, which powers are conferred on him by the citizens of Ghana through the ballot box. Therefore, he cannot set up a committee outside the laid down rules of procedure. He would have to do that. This committee can be set up anyhow he wants. But once he's president and he says, I want to set up a committee of inquiry, commission of inquiry, he has to do it according to the rules. And Ghanaians can challenge the people that he puts on it because he's setting up the committee pursuant to an authority that is drawn from the ballot box, from the will of the people of Ghana. I think we are done on that one. It's already 11 o'clock. We are done on that one. We are left to the Archbishop story. Let me take text messages 222 at least. Come back to the Archbishop story. Then I'll ask I'll ask Master Planner Junior about. I'll do national security before. So let's do two text messages. Master Planner will say something about the ministerial appointment. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So this is coming from Romax B, and he says, that is Dan Perry's modus operandi. He always pays journalists to do his bidding and sing his praises. His populist way of doing things and his attitude in the post-election lawlessness has made him the worst IGP Ghana has ever had. Ajudi says the EC was lenient with NDC. She generalized all disturbances at the coalition centers to all political parties, but NDC solely did it. And lastly, coming from Gumai, says, Paul, the messages you read is not far from the truth. We are the fishes in the water, so when the water is hot, we know. Yeah.
Anna, he says, what's the legal backing, or what legal backing does the Oral Committee have to fight corruption? Is that not a duplication of state agencies that have been vested with the power to investigate and prosecute? From Amisco, says the oral initiated by the NDC is dead on arrival. They can't even catch an ant. And lastly, from Alex Boating, he says, please, Nana, do help us by firing Dan Parry. He has clearly shown us that he is not trustworthy, and hence he must let go. Over to you, Anthony.
Yeah, so people still have questions about the oral. Francis Tufor is asking these questions. How long is the oral going to exist? How is it going to be funded? Do they have transparency guidelines that the general public should know about? How are they going to work objectively without any potential political posturing? Where are our institutions mandated to fight corruption in Ghana? Is ORA going to outperform them? Is every incoming administration going to have its anti-corruption unit? What are the best ways to prevent corruption before we spend time recovering? Haruna, all the way from Tamale, also has a few questions. Did I hear Ablakwa say they are to do the oral task for free? To imagine a private legal practitioner like Martin Correa leaves his private business for this oral sitting. What new does Kofi Boache bring on board? I foresee the collapse of the oral upon arrival. Now back to you, Paul.
Yes, let's do the national security conversation. And then perhaps I'll get to Master Planner, and then we'll leave it here as I prepare we'll play the Duncan Williams tape as well. Very, very short one, so we can put on social media. This is the national security conversation. Where's the Dusey? So this is Prosper. That's Bevlo Latte. The pictures are not. Let's Bevlo Latte. Okay, I'll do the Duncan Williams video now. I'll do the Duncan Williams video, and then that's like Bevlo Latte. Yes, that's like Bevlo Latte. So this must be a Dusey. Okay, so like Bevlo Latte is here. He's usually in military uniform, so I didn't quite see him. That's like Bevlo Latte. He exited the Mills administration as the former national security coordinator. Like Bevlo Latte's background is interesting. He is one of the few army officers who is supremely qualified academically. He's a chartered accountant, I believe. He's also a lawyer. He has an international relations degree as well from Lesia. So Larry Latte is very well prepared for it. Now, in terms of his military background, he's a fighting officer who rose early in his career to become the commanding officer of the 64 Infantry Regiment Battalion. Now, this feared 64 Infantry Regiment Battalion was set up by Rawlins to establish regime security, very, very similar to Nkrumah setting up something similar called Osagyefo's Own Guard, which was led by General Bauer, a man with relations with Joyce Bauer Montgomery, or Joyce Bauer's husband, something like that. So Larry Latte is coming from that background. He's a fighting officer. He's a Rawlins man. He sort of brings the Rawlins part of the party into the John Mahama situation, something that John Mahama desperately needs. The Rawlins bit of it, he desperately needs it. Not that he needs it to unite the party, because here is a party that has won an overwhelming 80% majority. He really doesn't need anything to unite anybody. But if he wants to, moving forward, sort of make people comfortable, and I saw him do that with the appointment of Guzitano as part of the transition team, he may be thinking about bringing back Bevlo Latte to do what Bevlo Latte can do. He can really, really do it. Okay, so that's one conversation in the mind of the president. Now, this man here, who used to be deputy minister for Works and Housing back in the day, also has security background. He's the one who has been coordinating the security system of the party people working towards election 2024. So most of the party people who are working, all those things you heard, body cams on, put on body cams at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, it is him. He was mobilizing that operation. So they have sort of created their own pseudo national security during the campaign, and he was in charge. So all of those people are responding to him and are hoping that he becomes Minister for National Security. Because he was operating that campaign and was reporting directly to John Dramani Mahama, he has built a relationship of trust with President Mahama over the last 2 years in doing this work. From what happened in the results and the way in which the NDC was able to find out their results early, a lot is attributed to his ability to coordinate the process. And he has been a minister before. Given all the circumstances, he's thought of as being one of the important factors that John Mahama is considering. Prosper Bani is an official of the United Nations. He's worked for the United Nations for that long. He also worked as a chief of staff for President Mahama. From chief of staff, he went to work as Minister for Interior. So with his UN background and having been Minister for Interior and being a really intelligent man, people think that perhaps Prosper Bani, who was your chief of staff, whom you trust, President Mahama said that he was also, I think, his roommate in Legon, something like that. So somebody that he really trusts. That's Prosper Bani. He wants to be National Security Coordinator. But for we, the boys on the ground, we, the boys on the ground, you know, the Gashimokwe, those that we see Jama and things, you know, those of us who like Jama, you know, Afiness, we are Kofi Boachi. All of us, the Jama boys. We want Kofi Boachi to be National Security boss. Because Kofi Boachi is our man. He's a Jama boys. We play the Jama. We are jumping about. We want action. We want action. Action is Kofi Boachi. Where is President Mahama going to throw it at? We don't know. Let's wait and see what happens by next week. By Christmas Day, I understand that the first list is going to be announced sometime next week. Chief of Staff, Deputy Chief of Staff is going to be announced. We all expect the name of Julius Debra to be announced as a Chief of Staff. It doesn't look like anything is going to change over there. Deputy Chief of Staff, we don't know, but we think that Edriji Tamaklo is being considered for Deputy Chief of Staff. Whilst he wants to be Deputy Attorney General, if he wants our advice, we'll tell him that be Deputy Chief of Staff as a lawyer is probably better than being Deputy Attorney General. Why? Because Deputy Chief of Staffs attend cabinets. Deputy Attorney Generals don't attend cabinets. So if you want something, if you know your friends who are looking for things and they can be Deputy Chief of Staff, tell them to be that. It will give them a better training ground, a better experience for the future. But this is an important decision for John Dramani Mahama. National Security Coordinator is going to be a big deal. What is he going to decide? Is he going to decide to make Prosper Bani the National Security Minister and make Bevlo Latte the National Security Coordinator and take Kofi Boachi to Oyoko, where Oyoko is for police officers. He's been a police officer before. He just retired as a COP. Will you take him to Oyoko and then perhaps take our man from Ashanti to another position? We don't know what President Mahama will do. But the most important choice in the security apparatus is not the National Security Minister, it's the National Security Coordinator. That's the job that Kofi Boachi wants. That's the job that Bevlo Latte has executed perfectly before. What's going to happen? Your guess is as good as mine. Let's see what President Mahama says. Text messages. It's 9 past 11. Let's wrap it up at this stage. What are people saying? Antoinette, you first.
Right. Thank you so much. Now, still on the story of the oral, this is what Isaac Hasumeni Abuache has to say. He says, trust me, the oral is Mahama's first step to failure because they've told Ghanaians that there is a lot of loot when there is actually none. They will surely gather some information that cannot be substantiated, and that would be its end. Ghanaians would ask questions as to who Mahama would be able to jail. Lastly, Wilson Ofe about Paul's presentation today says, wow, Paul, you've actually educated the general public about this oral thing. Very educative. I wouldn't want to say you are in the wrong profession, but rather you seem to be a very good lecturer. Kudos. Anziba.
Isaac he says, Mr. President-elect, you were once a member of parliament. Mr. President, you should know better. From Yao February, he says, beautiful people. From Mohammed, he says, if you are new in this system, then you must better be prepared for disappointment. Lastly, from Al-Haji, he says, we are back to school tonight with Mr. Paul. May Allah bless you. Over to you, Fatim.
All right, thank you. So this coming from Samuel, and Samuel says, how many times has Ablakwa won his court allegations against some politicians whom he claims embezzled the state coffers? Kofi Boachi had many allegations when he was in the police service, like the Dumelovo. He's there to take scores. Also coming from Abubakar, it says, in fact, the EC press shows the weakness of the IGP and his team. The Imam says it would be interesting to read Martin's take on the oral. Prince Napari says, thank you once again for the touch screen. You are doing a fantastic job and we truly appreciate your efforts. Could you please let us know when Mr. Bello will be visiting to share his analysis on the Syria and other international issues? We are looking forward to it. And lastly, coming from Mohammed Yusufa, he says, if the mandate of oral led by Ablapa is to gather evidence, does it mean that the OSP, Yoko charge, has no investigators or people who can receive the said evidence NDC is talking about? NDC is just using the oral thing to mislead innocent Ghanaians. Nothing is going to come out from it. Now back to you, Paul.
Master Planner Junior, what are you seeing about appointments? You're a political animal. What are you seeing about it?
Mr. Paul, I think after the 2024 elections, so far, NDC have secured over 180 MPs, and everybody is lobbying to become a minister. But what is our constitution saying about ministerial appointments? Referencing from Article 78(2), it talks about the president appointing ministers. There's no cap to that. The president, you have to appoint ministers depending on the state of what? Your economy, so that they can run the economy efficiently. But NDC's manifesto, page 52, former President John Dramani Mahama, the president-elect, and his NDC have stated it clearly that they are going to work with not more than 60 ministers. You can check from their manifesto, page 52.
Yes.
Now, Article 76 of the Constitution says that you have to appoint cabinet ministers. And the cabinet ministers, they should not be less than 10 and not more than 18. Now, assuming President Mahama appoints 10 cabinet ministers, we have 16 regions. Then it means you have 16 regional ministers. So far, 26 ministerial appointments already gone. You'll be left with 34, right? So the 34 ministers, out of the 180, is going to be a tough competition for the MPs elect. And it's going to be a tough decision for former President John Dramani Mahama, the president-elect. So that is where NDC struggles will begin. Remember, the Constitution says you have to appoint them for efficient running of what? The economy. Now, if you appoint few ministers in this economy, the question is, will it be effective? Can they run the economy efficiently? Because if you merge some ministries, you have to take reports from different sources. Can the minister analyze those reports on time and send feedback? So limiting the ministerial appointment to 60, I think, is going to be hectic for the NDC and then former President John Dramani Mahama. Aside that, Mr. Paul, I want to use this platform. I know everybody is watching, the world is watching, to plead with my political party to immediately launch Operation BBTV.
What's that?
Bring back the 2 million votes. We have to delve into why people decided not to go out to vote. Somebody will argue that those 2 million people are not MPP members. Whether they are MPP members or they are not MPP members, in 2020, they voted for the MPP. So what happened or what changed that they didn't vote for MPP going into the 2024 election? So, as I said initially, it is still possible, but we have to start with the Operation BBTV, bring back the 2 million votes, so that MPP 2024 victory can commence from that place. So that's the little thing I want to share with my party and then.
Okay, all right. I think that's a good sharing. Viewers, it's a Thursday. The Christmas activities have started all around here in Accra. I understand in Kumasi is the same. Takoradi is picking up for the next week event. We'll keep an eye on that. Maybe we'll have our own celebration in the studio on Tuesday, which will be our last program before Christmas. Thanks for watching. Good night.